Get ready to dive into a new horror story. Put on your headphones, turn off the lights, and let your mind wander through the darkest corners of imagination. But before we begin, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of our daily stories. Now, take a deep breath and step into the story, if you dare. As Clara stepped out into the enveloping fog, the chills seeped into her bones, a stark contrast to the warmth of her childhood memories. The air was thick, heavy with the scent of damp earth and decay. She could barely see a few feet ahead, the darkness wrapping around her like a shroud. Each step felt like an act of defiance against the whispering shadows that seemed to beckon her further into the unknown. With each stride toward the town center, Clara felt the weight of her family's history pressing down on her. The cobblestone streets were slick with moisture, glistening under the faint glow of the distant streetlights. A sense of foreboding settled in her gut, a reminder that the town held secrets far more sinister than she had ever imagined. As she approached the square, Clara could see the remnants of what once was a small community bustling with life, now reduced to crumbling facades and memories. The old general store, with its cracked windows and peeling paint, stood as a sentinel of the past. It was here that Clara and Sophia would come for sweets, their laughter echoing through the narrow aisles, untainted by the horrors that would eventually unfold. But now, the store loomed like a ghost, its darkened interior reflecting the emptiness Clara felt inside. She hesitated at the door, feeling a pull toward the familiar yet foreboding space. Something inside urged her to step in, to confront the echoes of her past. Pushing the door open, the hinges creaked ominously, the sound reverberating through the hollow space. Dust motes floated in the air, illuminated by the faint light seeping through the cracked windows. Clara's heart raced as she navigated the aisles, her fingers grazing the dusty shelves, feeling the weight of forgotten stories. Suddenly, a low thud echoed from the back of the store, halting her breath. Clara's pulse quickened. She wasn't alone. She stepped cautiously toward the sound, her heart pounding in her chest. Shadows danced across the walls as she rounded the corner, revealing an old storage room filled with discarded items, a relic of the past left to rot. Then, a voice broke the silence, a familiar voice that sent chills racing down Clara's spine. "Clara," it whispered, soft yet urgent. She froze, her breath hitching in her throat. "Is that you? Who's there?" She called out, her voice trembling. The silence that followed was deafening, the air thick with anticipation. She felt the weight of unseen eyes upon her, the shadows lurking just beyond her vision. "Show yourself." The flickering light above her dimmed momentarily, plunging the room into near darkness. Clara felt a cold breeze sweep past her, sending shivers down her spine. As her eyes adjusted to the gloom, she saw a figure standing at the far end of the room, a silhouette, barely illuminated, with familiar features that made her heart race. "Sophia?" Clara whispered, taking a hesitant step forward. The figure shifted, the shadows swallowing it whole, leaving only the echo of her name hanging in the air. "Help me," the voice pleaded, laced with desperation. Clara's heart sank as the figure began to dissolve into the darkness. "You have to find the truth, Clara. The shadows know." Panic surged through her as she lunged forward, reaching for the vanishing form, but her fingers grasped only air. She stumbled back, breathless, the weight of confusion and fear crashing down upon her. The shadows flickered in the corners of her vision, swirling with an energy that felt almost alive. determined to uncover the truth behind Sophia's cryptic words. The clatter of dishes and the low murmur of conversations faded into the background as Clara sat at the counter, her heart racing with anticipation. Rita leaned closer, her voice a whisper, heavy with unspoken fears. "You must understand, Clara, that the past isn't just history. It's alive here, woven into the very fabric of this town. And Sophia, she was tied to something darker than we can comprehend." Clara's pulse quickened, her mind racing with questions. "What do you mean? What happened to her?" Rita hesitated, glancing toward the windows, where the shadows of the gathering storm danced ominously against the glass. Years ago, a darkness settled over this town, a series of tragedies that drew the shadows and like moths to a flame. Sophia was at the heart of it, caught in something she couldn't escape. Many believed she was cursed. "What kind of curse?" Clara pressed, her voice barely above a whisper, her breath caught in her throat. The very words sent chills spiraling down her spine. Rita's eyes hardened, shadows flickering in their depths. The townsfolk whispered of an ancient entity, a spirit that thrives on fear and despair. They say it feeds on the emotions of those who dwell here, drawing them into a web of darkness. Sophia was drawn to it, like a flower to the light, but the light turned out to be a deception. As Rita spoke, the room seemed to dim, the shadows elongating and curling like tendrils around Clara's mind. "What happened to her?" she asked again, urgency creeping into her tone. Rita sighed, her face a mask of sorrow. The night she disappeared, a storm raged outside, more furious than any we'd seen. We heard her cries echoing through the streets, but when we went searching, she was gone. All that was left were whispers of the shadows, the very shadows that still haunt this place. Clara felt a knot tighten in her stomach. The mention of a storm stirred memories buried deep within her mind, echoes of her childhood that she had long since tried to forget. But why didn't anyone try to find her? "Fear," Rita replied, her voice a mere breath. Fear of what might be lurking beneath the surface. Many believed she had crossed a line, had called upon forces that were never meant to be disturbed. And those who sought her were often met with terrible fates. The diner felt stifling, the air thick with tension. Clara's thoughts spiraled into darkness, her mind racing with the implications of Rita's words. Could it be that the shadows truly held the answers she sought? "What do I need to do?" she asked, determination igniting within her. "You must go to the old chapel," Rita instructed, her gaze unwavering. "It's been abandoned for years, but the townsfolk say it's where the darkness first took hold. You might find the truth hidden within its walls. But be warned, Clara, the shadows don't take kindly to intruders." Clara nodded, her resolve hardening. She knew she had to confront the darkness that loomed over her life and her friend's fate. As she rose from the counter, the diner seemed to shudder, a gust of wind sweeping through the door, as if urging her to leave. "Be careful, Clara," Rita called after her, her voice laced with concern. "The storm is coming, and with it, the shadows will rise." Outside, the wind howled, carrying with it a palpable sense of foreboding. The fog had thickened, wrapping around Clara like a cocoon, distorting her vision as she made her way toward the old chapel. Each step felt like a descent into a nightmare, the echoes of Rita's warnings ringing in her ears. As she approached the chapel, the world around her seemed to quiet, the usual sounds of the town swallowed by the oppressive silence. The structure loomed before her, a crumbling relic of a time long forgotten. Vines crawled up the stone walls like fingers grasping for salvation, and the windows were darkened with grime, as if mourning the light that once shone within. Clara pushed open the heavy door, which creaked ominously on its hinges. The interior was cloaked in darkness, the air stale and thick with the scent of mildew. Dust motes floated in the beams of light that managed to pierce the gloom, creating an ethereal atmosphere that felt both haunting and sacred. She stepped inside, her heart racing as she surveyed the desolate space. The pews were overturned, and the altar lay in ruins, a haunting reminder of the chapel's former glory.